Hello. Hi, Andrea. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Nice to see you. Ah. Hi, Carmina. I was just channeling Reiki into the session, and y'all that know me know yawning can occur. So, hi, Wendy. Welcome, Leslie. It's my nighttime, so, yeah, in a different energy than many of you who are in the Western Hemisphere in your morning. Hello, Lori. Welcome. Yeah, so glad to have everybody here. And we're going to be doing we're doing 2 meditative book listening sessions is what they're called. And this one, we're going to be continuing the book, There's Nothing Wrong With You, Going Beyond Self-Hate by Cheri Huber. Leslie, I like that. Yawning's your sign of integration. I've never thought of it in that way, but yeah, that's what's happening. When I do Reiki, when I do energy healing, many times, most of the time, there's a lot of yawning. So I just see it as a sign that energy's moving, that things are clearing. So I like that added bit about the integrating as well. So thank you for sharing that. Hi, Rochelle. Welcome. So if you are new to me, if you haven't joined before, don't worry. We are doing like a weekly book study, book listening session. So if it doesn't matter if you haven't heard it from the beginning or don't know what the book is, just trust that you found this at the perfect time for you, and just hear what comes through and take what you like and leave the rest. So yeah, and also if you want a PDF copy of the book, just send me a private message anywhere. You can reach me here, Insight Timer, Facebook, Instagram, website, and I am dual live streaming on YouTube as well. So please follow me there and everywhere, and here if you don't already. If you care to give a donation, that's appreciated. Hi, Mishi. Hi, Julia. Yes, and if you are new to me, just a quick intro. I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach, Reiki Master Teacher. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of things. I'm up to a lot of things. So if you vibe with me, with my energy, with my message, check me out, reach out, all that good stuff. Yeah, and you can catch any replays of my lives. Just send me a message and I can share that with you, which is great. We just did one of my favorites, which is talking about money and abundance and clearing money blocks and overcoming under-earning. And I'm going to be offering a group program on that in a few months. So really excited about that. If that's interesting to you, then please reach out. Hi, J.E. Yes, it's actually available right now because my internet is very good. where I'm staying here. So, yes, uh, because the internet's good, I'm double live streaming. So, hello, Amma? Am I saying that correctly? I am in Thailand at the moment. So I reside wherever I am. And I'm going to Sri Lanka in 1 week. And then to India and to Bali. So, yeah, that's what I'm up to at this moment. So, welcome, Angela. Good morning. Amma, okay. Great. Glad to have you. So, for our book reading today, There's Nothing Wrong with You. It is it's a very easy read if you get the book, which like I said, I can share that with you. It's very simple. It's got pictures and drawings, the book, and it's in like big font. So you can, if you want that, let me know. Just send me a message. And we're going to be listening to the audio version here. I'm not going to be reading it. We're going to be listening. And while we listen, I'm going to be channeling Reiki to all of you. If you don't want to receive it, just have the intention you don't want it, and that's it. Then you won't receive it. So I'm just going to be, as we're listening, channeling the Reiki to all who are here. So as part of the process. No, it's not for children. But I think why, I don't know, but I think why the author does that is because a lot of the book is about the inner child, or, the wounded child, and what happens in childhood. And that creates self-hate and self-loathing and judgment. So my interpretation of that is that it's kind of trying to keep it light, keep it, maybe because it's so much stems from childhood about it. Yeah, maybe that's why, but I'm not the author, so. Hello, Elena. Welcome. Hi, Kiana. Yes, it's Friday. If you follow me on social, I just posted a story. I'm on the Woo Woo Island in Thailand. If anybody knows, it's called Koh Phangan. And it's like, yeah, everything spiritual and woo woo and all that yummy good stuff is here. And I was in the thick of it on Zen Beach earlier for sunset. It was a beautiful sunset, and there's a drum circle. So my story has a short clip of the energy, and it's so fun dancing and the drum circle energy. Marijuana is legal here now. It's been a couple years. I was living here when it became legal. So, you can smell that everywhere, but people are enjoying, good for them. And it's also actually a naked beach. So, it's, yeah, it's interesting. So, now the part in my story, that's not the naked area. It's a little bit further down, but, yeah. So this island is supposed to be on some ley lines. And also I've heard that the foundation of the island is rose quartz. And also Koh Samui, which is right next door. And I've lived on both of these islands during COVID. So that's supposed to contribute to the energy here. So, yeah. just another day. But Kiana talked about Friday, and that's what made me think about it, because it was a bit busier at sunset today, I think because it's Friday, although it's high season right now and it's so crowded here. So yeah, just a day in the life of digital nomad Natalie, remote, traveling nomad life. So, and I've said this before, my astrology perfectly supports my lifestyle, being a Gemini sun, Sagittarius moon, in the sun in the ninth house, ruled by Sag. So, if there's any astrology fans, yeah. So, before we dive in, I'm feeling called to share a story that relates to the book topic. So can anyone even relate to just this idea or this phrase, or does it like hold weight for you to think about? There's nothing wrong with you. This book was given to me by a coach a few years ago. And even just the title really, really resonated with me, because it was like putting to words something that I didn't know was there until it was put into words. And yeah, I like that phrasing, Amma. Yes. So if you have that feeling and just hearing the title, definitely there's something there for you. Good morning, Nancy. So, basically the book is about how limiting beliefs, subconscious programs, paradigms, like all that negative stuff gets programmed from childhood and then affects our lives in a negative way. And then about, how to break free from it, which is really, this book is Buddhist based. So it's about meditation and kind of Buddhist philosophy around acceptance. So I met with a coach today. As I said, I'm a spiritual life coach. I have a coach, and I met with this other coach today, and we'd met one time before. And the last time we met, he invited me to another conversation, and he said, "Hey, next time, we'll do this, like this specific sort of a practice or this specific topic." And I was like, okay, great. That sounds great. And I was interested in doing that. And so when we got on the call today, he was like, how do you want to spend your time? And I said, well, aren't we going to do the thing that you said we do for last time? And he was like, no. Like, you totally misunderstood me. That takes months to do. And he went into a lot of story and explanation. I judged as defensiveness. And I noticed frustration and heat in my chest, and I wouldn't say anger, but getting to anger, like a hot frustration feeling. And I was feeling like I did something wrong, like I was being like discounted or diminished or overlooked, or like not being validated. And so I'm just being in this in the moment of the experience. And I just stopped him, or when the conversation stopped for a minute, I just said, look, I said, I want to be really honest with you. I'm feeling frustration, and I'm feeling like I'm not heard, and I'm not being seen, heard, or acknowledged for just what I'm feeling right now. And so I asked him to just kind of like let's not continue to talk about things. I need to feel what's happening. And I started crying. It was so interesting because there was this level of like heat and frustration. But then when I gave myself space to just be, there was this well of emotion underneath that surprised me. I did not know it was there. And I started crying. And what I realized was it went back to childhood. And it also had to do with like male, female as well, of like a masculine figure, like making me feel wrong. And I know this might be coming out messy, but you know, the point is that it's tying back to childhood, which is what this book is about, that we're about to start listening to. And it was a really difficult experience to be in, and notice that, you know, I reverted back to these deeper energies and emotions and wounding of like, I felt like I was being shamed and blamed, and like I did something wrong. And it's not even about the coach. And that's why coaching can be so powerful, because whatever misunderstanding or miscommunication that happened, that's not the important part. The important part is what's happening within me and what are my thoughts and emotions about it. And if you have a good coach, you have like a clean space and container where everything can be held and witnessed and it's safe, right? So yeah, it was really icky and difficult because I had to be honest. The other part I saw was like, I wanted to people please. I didn't want to like hurt his feelings in that, because I wasn't enjoying the experience, and I wanted to just end the session because I just wanted to be with what was coming up. And at the end, he asked if it was helpful, and I said, well, it was interesting. And I'm still in processing with it, but what I noticed was that my mind went to, I'm wrong. I did something wrong. I am wrong. There's something wrong with me. And I'm being like made wrong, or I feel like I'm wrong. And it was a really deep wound. So this is why this book is so powerful for me, you know, and it was perfect. That was great information. It was helpful in that it brought up something that wanted to be seen, felt, heard, and witnessed and cleared. So I did my best just through the rest of the session just to be completely present with my body, with the energies that were inside. Just now reading your comment. Wow. Very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I do ancestral clearing. I don't know if you've been in that before, Leslie, with my lives here, But when we do like the interactive ancestral clearing live sessions, we work with the body, and different areas of the body mean different things. So yeah, interesting that you noticed that. Hi, Semastar. No, we're about to start right now. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and get into it. So what I invite you to do, what I really encourage you to do, is to make this a meditation, in that the quality of your listening be mindfully focused, and that you're not scrolling elsewhere, that you're not whatever watching the TV in the background or doing other things, that you really take this space and time to respect the material and respect yourself and respect this space by giving it the presence that is what's best. Because living, being in the present moment, honoring the present moment, being present, that's that's the way to be, right? So here's a place and a way we can practice that. The other thing I would offer to you, if you have any voices in your head that have judgments, that have opinions, that have arguments, if there's anything in what you hear where there's resistance, notice that. That's really good information for you to have. If your mind is like, no, that's bullshit, or whatever, right? So the invitation is for you to get curious about that. If you're like, I can't relate to this, whatever, this is wrong, the invitation is to notice that there's those thoughts of resistance, and then be like, okay, wow, what's happening here? Can I relax? Can I witness and open my mind again and just be the observer of what I'm hearing? And that resistance and that voice is there for a reason. That there's something deeper, or that there's some juiciness, some gold there for you. So pay attention to that. And don't discount what you hear. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but just like with the example I just gave about the session I had today. It's not about like making the person wrong. It's about what is coming up within me. That's what I need to pay attention to. And I get to work with myself. I mean, this is the deepest work. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm just gonna, last time when we did Conversations with God, I just played it in my tab in my browser and it worked well. So I'm gonna do that again. And I'm just gonna play it until I wanna stop it. And then we'll pause. If you have questions, comments, or I might say something, then we will do that. And let me know if the sound's too high, too low, anything like that. And I'm going to start like a minute or two back from last time, so just to reorient for those who are coming every week, that you can hear. Just kind of get back into the message. And if you're brand new, just take it in. Just take this in.
Work in the face of what you're seeing to be true for you. This isn't working. I feel powerless. There must be another way. If you continue to pay attention, the confusion will give way to clarity. If you can find the willingness to look and take a stand against the scam self-hate has you caught in, the confusion will give way to clarity. And the clarity is compassion. It's always a good idea to go back and check out the original premise. The faulty premise in this case is that if you meet the endless, changing, nebulous list of conditioning's standards, you will be who you should be, you will be lovable, and you will be loved. Some of the forms self-hate takes. Sabotage. You try to do something good for yourself or for someone else, and somehow manage to turn the whole thing against yourself. You keep doing the very things you didn't want to do or don't approve of, and you can't seem to figure out how you do that. It's a perfect system for self-hate because you're operating out of an ideal, you don't live up to the ideal, you can't figure out what you're doing wrong. Taking blame, but not credit. If something goes well, it's a gift from God. If it goes badly, it's all your fault. And even if you do take a little credit for something, you can always avoid feeling good about it by finding what could have been done better. Blaming others. Self-hating and other-hating are the same thing. Whether you're hateful toward others or hating yourself directly, it's self-hate, and you are always the recipient. Being secretive. You don't let other people know what's going on inside you so that you can be in there being beaten. Holding grudges. You review old hurts and injustices rather than being present to yourself now. Not being able to receive gifts, compliments, help, favors, praise, etc. are things you have difficulty allowing yourself to have. Seeing what's wrong with everything. Your habit is to find fault, criticize, judge, and compare. Remember, what is all that is. The alternate reality in which everything is as you think it should be exists only in your mind, and it exists primarily to torture you. Trying to be different, just being who you are, your plain old self, isn't enough. You feel you have to maintain an image. Attempting to be perfect. This one speaks for itself. Being accident prone. Your attention is so often focused on some other time, person, or thing that you injure yourself in the present. You don't feel you deserve your attention. Others are more important. Putting yourself in abusive situations. Even if you realize that you have this pattern, your fear and self-hate are too strong to let you break out of it. Maintaining an uncomfortable physical position. You hold your shoulders in a way that creates pain. You clench your teeth. You sit small on the bus so as not to intrude into anyone else's space. You continue to sit in an uncomfortable chair at work because you don't want to make waves. Maintaining an uncomfortable mental position. Clinging to shoulds. It's not right to be happy when there's so much suffering in the world. People should say please and thank you. Children deserve to have two parents. Some voices and gestures and actions of self-hate. A word or gesture can conjure up a whole lifetime of negativity or defeat or unworthiness. When the memories and emotions tied to that word or gesture arise, it's like having a truckload of self-hate dumped on you. I can't believe you did that. God, said in a tone of utter disgust. A shrug of the shoulders and the words, it doesn't matter, which signals total defeat. A sinking feeling of, I've done something wrong, and a feeling of panic. What's the right thing to do now to fix it? Buying anything for anyone else but never anything for myself. Wanting to eat something and a voice saying, can't you ever say no to yourself? And realizing that I say no to myself all the time about everything except food. No. New clothes? No. More rest? No. Take a class? No. Weekly massage? No. Theater? Tickets? No. Home computer? No. Weekend getaway? No. No, 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 no. The voices. By way of explanation, in this book, we refer often to the voices inside your head, or similar phrases. We aren't talking about a psychological disorder. Voices inside your head refers to the nearly endless stream of thoughts we all experience, the constant flow of judgments, ideas, criticisms, and opinions that we hear inside day in and day out. And we want to emphasize that it's important not to believe that these voices have helpful information for you about yourself. So far in this book, we've been defining self-hate for you. So, what is egocentricity? Egocentricity is the illusion of being a separate self, separate from everything, ourselves, each other, life, the universe, that results primarily from the process of social conditioning. Egocentricity is interested in one thing and one thing only: survival at any cost. It will say and do anything to remain in control of your life. It will come through any door. It will stop at nothing. Self-hate has many voices. Here are just a few. Voice. Nothing subtle about it. You're disgusting. You make me sick. Voice. Sounds like normal, helpful, constructive criticism. It was stupid of me to have said that. I must watch what I say. By the way, children learn early to call themselves and others stupid. Voice. Sounds like self-discipline, helpful in keeping us on the right track. I must finish this now, even though I'm exhausted. I must not give in to little self-indulgences. Who knows where it would stop? Voice. Sounds really, really true and helpful. The voice of clarity and wisdom. You read a book that's meaningful for you, but every sentence is translated into, I should be like that. This voice might start out sounding sincere, but soon slides into accusation. I've been doing it wrong all this time. What's the matter with me? Another example, sitting in meditation, you might be quiet and comfortable just breathing, then a voice says, I don't think I'm doing this right. If I were, my attention wouldn't wander. You can listen to the voices that say there's something wrong with you. It's actually very helpful to be aware of them. Just don't believe them. Most of what we've been taught to believe.
Okay, we will pause there for a moment. Take a breath deeper. Yvonne, the name of the book is There's Nothing Wrong with You. The author is Cheri Huber. Thank you, Kiana. Welcome, Michelle. So, what did you all hear in that passage? It was talking about, first, how we, like, actions we take or don't take. Talked about self-sabotage, being accident prone. Yeah, you heard yourself. Who else could relate to many, if not all of that? Yeah. And then what was just being said was about so it talked about egocentrism. So in the book, she says self-hate. It is really egocentrism is the other word she says that you could use, which is what you just heard, which was this separate self. And it will try to keep itself alive at all costs. And then she gave the list of how, so that the voice, right? The voice inside your head. How it shows up as self-hate, but we might not recognize it. Those were some really subtle things. Like the one about if you're reading a self-help book and you start judging yourself against like what it says. That one's so subtle. Some of them, the one was, you're disgusting or you're stupid. Those are obvious. But, or, I should lose weight or whatever, right? Jen, hi Jen, relate to almost everything. Hi Larianne. Wow, interesting, Kiana. Hi Wendy. Well, you didn't miss it. You actually just missed about 5 minutes of the actual book, so. Aw. Wonderful, Leslie. Ooh, I love The Big Leap, Carmina. Yes. That's a great book, FYI, for everybody here. The Big Leap. It talks about, like, we reach, like, a level, like a ceiling of what we're capable of in our lives. And then if we don't go out of our comfort zone, if we don't make a big leap, then we just like self-sabotage ourselves to keep us safe. Yeah, would definitely recommend that book. Interesting, Ren. Thank you for sharing, honestly. So I don't know if you were here earlier whenever I was prefacing, like just notice what comes up for you. And it's not a judgment, but just a noticing. Isn't that interesting? There's embarrassment. Embarrassment always is related to others. So maybe you might want to feel into it and see, is that really the emotion? Because embarrassment is like caring about what other people think and then thinking they're thinking things about us. So it's like focused on others. So if it was something that was just within yourself that didn't have anything to do with all of us here in the live, then I invite you to consider maybe other emotions that it could be. And it could be maybe, my guess would be fear, guilt, shame. Big leap with a P. Yes. So, and if you are just joining in, if you send me a message, I can send you the PDF of this, because it's good to listen, but it's great to do both. Have it to read and listen. And two, if you are new, don't forget to follow me here as I Been almost 3 years on Insight Timer. And follow me everywhere. All that good stuff. So, maybe underlying fear, Ren. And you know, too, if this is bringing bringing up stuff for you, it could be because it's related to childhood wounding, like core wounds, because that's what this is all really about, and that's where they come from. So that could also be at play. So yes, Sumastar, send me a message. I'll send you the PDF. Interesting story, Carmina. Yeah, a lot of awareness about that. It wasn't just that you were called a dummy, but that you were in front of others. Yeah. So one thing I noticed, and I'm glad, thanks Ren for starting this thread of the discussion. I noticed when I read the book and listened to the book, I hate that she uses the word self-hate. Does anybody else have like an icky, resistant, shitty feeling when she says self-hate and when she labels this stuff as self-hate? Or I mean, it could just be me. But I feel really like, I'm like, isn't that harsh? Like, and then I think, but I don't hate myself. So it's interesting, the choice of that, and so glad that others have, that I'm not the only one. Lori, Jen, yeah, it's like an ouch. That's okay, Kiana. So yeah, I wonder what's underneath that. What I think for me, and share if you'd like, I think my ego doesn't like that label about it, because it's like, it means that I'm like, oh, but I don't hate myself, like I'm better than that. Something like that. Like I'm not that flawed and broken. I just I just have some negative self-talk. So I think that's what it is. And then, if you know, as we listen to this book, the ego will latch on to anything to keep itself alive. So even that, it's latching on to. So let's dive in for another round of listening, because it kind of switched topics a bit, so I stopped it. Yeah, Kiana and Ren. Hi, Nikki. Larian. I'm gonna get to feel into that a bit more. What is it about that self-hate? Yeah. Okay. So I will continue channeling the Reiki, and it's like Reiki blessing that I'm doing as we're quiet and listening and taking in the material. If you care to receive it, if not, just have an intention. If you don't want it, that's fine too. And yeah, as I said before, if you missed that part, give yourself in this space, in the present moment, your full attention, because it's important and you're important.
Believe. We had to be taught to believe because it isn't true. This is why children have to be conditioned so heavily. We would never have reached these conclusions on our own. If we could, for a moment, look at what we've been taught to believe with an unconditioned mind, we would see that not only is it not true, it's absurd. Where did all this self-hate come from? Socialization and subpersonalities. We learn self-hate as children, and we learn it whether we grow up in a loving family or not. The steps go pretty much like this. 1, the child has a need. For example, the child is afraid of the dark and wants to be comforted. 2, the need is rejected. Her parents say, "You're a bad girl to be out of bed. Go back to bed this instant." 3, the child comes up with a behavior as a means of survival in order to get the need met. For example, being afraid of the dark, she or he will sneak a flashlight into the bed. 4, the child simultaneously identifies with the authority figure who didn't meet the need. They're right. I'm bad for being this way. And identifies with the part who was rejected. I'm afraid, and they don't love me because I'm afraid. The child, completely incapable of grasping any of this consciously, nevertheless learns to believe there must be something wrong with me. That's why they're treating me this way. It's my fault. It's not their fault. In the child's mind, there can't be anything wrong with the parents because survival depends on them. This is the birth of self-hate.
I have to pause it there because that, what was just said, is the crux of everything. And Yvonne, Kiana, wow. I'm so sorry to hear that happen for you, Kiana. Thank you so much for sharing. So what she just described, she gave a story, child's afraid of the dark, goes into the parents' room. The parents say, "You need to go back to bed." The child adapts. They get a flashlight. And then there might have been another step in there. Oh, well, then the child makes themselves wrong. The biggest step of all. The child has to make themselves wrong because the child must keep the attachment to the parent intact because the parent keeps them alive. Okay? Are you all grasping that? Because that's all the attachment stuff you hear. That's what it is, what that's about, and where all the avoidant and the anxious and all that, and trauma. Core childhood wounds come from that exact thing, that if the parent is not safe and doesn't give us love in the moment that we need it, then we have to make ourselves wrong because we cannot make the parents wrong, even if they were incorrect and made a mistake in their parenting. because that would mean, you know, the parent is God, right? The child looks to the parent to fulfill all its needs. So the parent cannot be made, or the caregiver, whoever that is for you, could not be made wrong. So then the child must make themselves wrong. And that's the essence of all of this. Summer Star, you can't read the comments. I don't know if I will read all of them. I won't commit to that, but I will do my best to read most, if not all. So Wendy says it's harder as a parent who may have done some of the quote bad things to their own children. I know I did the best I could without an example, but it does sting. Can any other parents relate to that? I'm sure you're not the only one. And Kiana says their dad would feed you junk food every day while he drank a 6-pack of beer, feeding into childhood obesity. Yeah, and that you're trying your best. I mean, I don't have children. I can only imagine if I was hearing all this, I would be putting it through that filter as well. So, okay, we can even go here about the self-hate. So, I just shared this on my Instagram story. It's one of my favorite quotes. So I just, like, as I was reading the book on my phone, I just screenshotted, like, so many things. But this is one of my favorites. So the voice, right? The inner voice. If the voice is not speaking compassionately to you, it has nothing worthwhile to tell you. Everything you need to know will come to you in compassion. So this is the work. This is the practice, that starting to first notice, because, and the way this whole book came about, I mean, it's a long story I won't get into, but I was at a silent retreat, and being at this silent retreat, I could hear my thoughts so much clearer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just spewing judgment constantly about everyone else and myself. Like, it was magnified like crazy. And then I was like, oh my God, it was overwhelming. I mean, it's good because everything's here to help us and coming up to be healed, but it was a lot to swallow that pill. And notice. So then I got this book back out and started reading it. And I had this perception of myself of, oh, I've done a lot of work on myself. Like, I don't hate myself, or I've improved my self-esteem, and I don't have negative self-talk because I don't berate myself in my head. I don't say, you're stupid, or how could you do that? I don't do that. So my self-talk is actually pretty good inside of my head. I was so wrong. And I think that's why that self-hate word stings too, because I had this idea about myself that I had pretty good inner self-talk, and it's not true. But here, even this, the ego and the voice, the mind, the negativity will attach to that and make myself wrong. Even that. Oh, I thought I was doing so great. Oh, now you see how horrible your self-talk is. Oh, you're bad. Do you see that? It just, it goes to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so the way this book says that we must, I mean, first, awareness is the key, which is why it was giving those list of things to look for. But we've got to come to acceptance. We've got to come to acceptance there. And then compassion. And that's why this quote, if the voice is not speaking compassionately, it has nothing to tell you. Everything you need to know will come to you in compassion. So the invitation, the challenge for you is when you notice it, to not, you can't listen to it anymore. I mean, if you want to change, if you want to be happy and at peace and reprogram your mind and change yourself in your life, you cannot entertain that stream of negativity anymore, no matter how it shows up. And I mean, it's not easy, but it's worth it. So I'm going to read a couple other quotes. If I could have compassion, love myself, for hating myself, I would no longer be hating myself, I'd be loving myself, and nothing about me would need to change. This one really goes in line with what I just said, so listen to this. If you are not becoming kinder, gentler, more generous and loving, you are not doing this work. If you're feeling more burdened, judgmental, and rejected, you're doing self-hate. So, if you are not becoming kinder, gentler, more generous, and loving, you're not doing this work. If you're feeling more burdened, judgmental, and rejected, you're doing self-hate. So I guess I was doing self-hate. And then I get to be compassionate. So I know some comments have come in. Wendy. Yeah, I mean, I get that, Wendy, about, you thinking about your children and see, so right there, that self-hating voice that wants to come in, the invitation is there to have acceptance. I mean, you can't change the past. You can't change anything up until this moment now. Being in acceptance, and then finding compassion for yourself, that you did your best with the level of mind and awareness that you had, just like all of our parents did. So, Wendy wishes you would have read the book earlier. Well, see, even that, the author would say, that's a self-hating thought. It's so intrinsic. And that's why I had like this overwhelming, horrible experience, because it just, oh my gosh, I didn't see it. And I thought I knew myself. I thought I was so self-aware. Yeah. Awesome, Kiana. Thank you, Susan, Carmina. Yeah, I mean, I really want to acknowledge all of you for showing up. I mean, this is like to do this deep work. And it never ends. And so that's one thing too that the self-hate does. We become this project, this never-ending project. That's one of the quotes that I also saved. Here it is. Self-hate uses self-improvement as self-maintenance. Self-hate uses self-improvement as self-maintenance. As long as you're concerned about improving yourself, you'll always have a self to improve, and you will always suffer. So, this is so insidious, because how many of you, I mean, I'm raising my hands too, of like, oh, I've got to improve myself, better, get better, better. Then that perpetuates that there's always something to fix, which feeds into the self-hate. Yeah. So that's why only compassion and acceptance, and as we are perfect, perfectly imperfect, it is huge, Teresa. So this is really intense, and that's okay if it is for you. You're ready for it. You're all ready. If you're hearing it, you're ready, and you're fully capable. So this is the deepest work you can do. It's the deepest work we can do. And I invite you to join in on my Conversations with God listening series as well, because it's all tied together, but these things, these two topics, they're related, they're connected, and they go very well together, because basically what Conversations with God, what we were just listening to last time, was talking about how, the nature of God, and how God came to be, and not how God came to be, but how the three-dimensional reality came to be. And it says that, God wanted to experience itself, so it had to create a separate self. So then there was two. And then it said that, the only way for God to know itself was for God to know itself as not itself, and then remember. So that's what we're doing here. We come in, if you believe in these sorts of things, I'm not here to convince anyone, just share my beliefs. We came in, we're infinite souls, we have many incarnations. We forget when we come in to our lifetimes, mostly. We forget, we're infinite being, and so we come here to remember. And that's, and the remembering is to stop judging ourselves. God doesn't judge. In the book Conversation with God talks about that as well. So, so Kiana, there's your invitation to have acceptance and compassion. We all have more work to do. It'll never get done. So, but the best way to do it is, this only listening to the voice of compassion. That's wonderful, Wendy. Wendy Wendu, talking about forgiving yourself. That's amazing. Yeah, that's the ultimate. Yeah. Sure, Larian. So it's called There's Nothing Wrong with You. Going Beyond Self-Hate is the subtitle, by Cheri Huber. And if you missed it, the invitation, I can send you a PDF. And just send me a message. So, yeah, thank you all. Beautiful energy, beautiful, community support here today. We all have this experience in common, and there's nothing wrong with us. Beautiful. So join me for Saturday Night Live here on Insight Timer and dual live streamed. Saturday night in the West, Sunday morning, Sunday in the East. Don't forget to give me a follow here on Insight Timer and everywhere that I am on the internet. I really appreciate it. I will bookmark this. And this is something like, please, if you feel called to listen more to and I can send you the link to the audio as well. This is something you can study over and over. So if you want to go ahead, if you want to whatever, if you miss readings, it's fine. You'll get what you need. You'll join when you need to. So just relax. Be rigid. I mean, not be rigid. Don't be rigid. Awesome, Maddie. Thank you, Amma, Wendy, everybody. And have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening. And remember that little child. Y'all have seen my little inner child pic. When we hate, when we talk bad and we judge, and even the book says, when you hate others, you're hating yourself. We're doing that to this little being. And then we don't want to make ourselves wrong for that either, right? Because I saw myself doing it. Aww. Oh no, when I'm judging and hating myself, I'm hating her. Oh God, that's bad, that's wrong. Nope. Acceptance, like radical acceptance and compassion. Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also don't forget, Reiki is being channeled, so that's also part of what's happening here. And even if you see the replay, it's happening through there as well. Thank you. I will see you all soon. Namaste.